it's Valentine's Day. Some hearts will soar, others will be broken. It depends on whether or not you make the 50th Daytona 500. The Gatorade Duels at Daytona will be on speed February 14th, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR on speed. Be there. Our Mr. Sun, please be there. We haven't seen much of the sun since this race began about 17.5 hours ago. We're still under a caution flag. Let's take this opportunity to visit with Chris Neville.
Well, Bob, all these teams talking about how they show up here for the Super Bowl of their season, and Pirelli also showing up for the Super Bowl of the season at their first race, now being the exclusive tire of the Rolex series. And what I would consider an absolute logistical nightmare, these guys have set up, and it just works absolutely perfect. They've got about 75 feet of roller or track here where teams show up, and that's going to start happening now since we just had this caution where they drop off their tires. The tires come down these rollers. The Pirelli team here starts scanning them in, and the team gives them the order. Do they want wets? Do they want dries? Do they want fronts? Do they want rears? At that point in time, the tires come down this next set of rollers with the next tire that's going to be replaced with to where they break the bead. At this point in time, the old tire is going up on these machines, and they're going to start breaking the bead, pulling the old tire that just came off the car off the wheel. You can see the crew down here starting to do that process. Right behind them, the new tire that's going to go on. These next set of machines, that's going to actually pull the old tire off and then put the new tire on. What does it take to do this whole process? Pirelli has brought 150 crew members here to deal with this situation. They come in 2 shifts and they work all through the night. With all these different rollers and tracks, these guys don't have to move. They can just stand at their machine and wait for their tire to come to them, and that allows this process to go through as quickly as possible. Now, as the tires come down, they've got the new tire on the wheel now. This next set of guys, these guys are going to add air to the tire, inflate them up to about 40 PSI, and they're putting dry air in the tire. So when it goes back to the team, most of the teams will release that dry air and put nitrogen in. That will allow the tire to hopefully stabilize at a pressure a little bit better. And these guys, they're waiting for the tires that just came in, so they're just standing by at this point in time. And then you finally come down to the balancing area. This team of guys still waiting here for all the tires that are coming in, that are coming off this caution. They're going to balance the tire, and then they scan that tire out. That goes to the bill. And these guys are looking at about 5,000 dry tires throughout the race, and they're estimating about 1,000 wet tires that they've gone through. Most of these teams going through about 30 sets. That's 120 tires. The bill at the end of the weekend, about $50,000.
Boy, boy, we spoke with Pirelli officials and asked them if they had to force a lot of their employees to come out here and work on the weekend. They said no, we had to turn away not only employees, but dealers who wanted to come down here and be a part of Pirelli's first Rolex 24 at Daytona as Grand Am's official tire supplier. We'll take a break and return to the big house. Welcome back to Daytona. We've just gone green, and as we see so often when the cars are bunched up and the track is slick, you have contact. A lot of debris on the racetrack there in one of the horseshoes.
Oh boy, that's the West Horseshoe. I don't know what happened there. Just these guys, when they all get together, seem to be incapable of getting around each other.
That is a badly damaged Porsche 911, already showing the scars of battle with replacement pieces. Here they come into the braking area for the West Horseshoe. You get sideways, you get center punch.
He lost it on the braking.
There's the number 60 car.
It's the number 7 car that hit him. The 7 car was, at one stage, was leading this race. It's miles down now. Had lots of problems with it.
60 pounding sideways across the curbs with Justin Wilson at the controls. That won't be good. Here's the 01 of race leader Scott Pruitt, clean and green. Big gap to Jimmy Vasser in the 99. Lap car. Lots of GTs. There's the number 3. Bill Lester at the controls. 26th overall. Had to be a full season ride for Bill. Oh, 02 Salvador Duran.
What's happened now?
He brought out the yellow flag with a spin and stall in the West Horseshoe. They got him going again, and now he's got another problem.
This is down, I suspect, at turn 6, isn't it? Just going back onto the banking.
No, I don't see him down there. And it appears he's lost the fire again. Now, these are very treacherous conditions. And most of the cars are on slicks, if not all of them. Here's the sister car. In the capable hands of Scott Pruitt. Here comes the chicane.
Making sure he sticks to the dry line.
Through that very tricky chicane. There's the 10 car, Max Angelelli, trying to gather up some of the.
There's the 6 car of Ian James, which is lying second.
There's the 99.
Out there. There's the 99 car, Jimmy Varsha.
Now shown in third. 1996 Champ Car World Series titleist. Chris Neville is standing by with his teammate.
Well, I'm down here with a very puffy-eyed and wobbly Jon Fogarty, just getting out of the car after being in there since 4 a.m. You got to be beat, man.
Yeah, I'm beat. I haven't slept yet, and was brought in to do a stint a few hours earlier than I had anticipated. So went through the rain, through the dark, and into the light. But you know, that's what it's all about with 24-hour racing. It's cool in a way. We're hanging in there. We're on the lead lap. Jimmy's out there right now, Jimmy Varsha, and you know, the Gainesco Auto Insurance and Lowe's car is still running, and that's what we wanted at daylight, and it's sure a heck of a lot better than last year.
Well, as we're talking to Jon Fogarty here, it looks like something might be going on with the car, so I'm going to pull off and check in with the team, and we'll hopefully see what's going on.
All right, thanks, Chris. You're looking at Jimmy Varsha, who was just passed as we went to that interview by the 23, the Porsche Crawford of Joey Hand. I don't know if Jimmy Vassar is just taking his time coming up to speed or if he has a problem with that car.
Seems to have slowed up quite a bit.
This is turn 6. Headed for the banking. Oh, he's taking the line.
Barbosa's, and the 59's coming up on him now very fast too. Sounds all right. You can't very well hear. Well, look at all that mud down at the chicane.
Back to Chris.
Well, Jimmy Vassar's reporting to the team that the Gainesco machine, the Lowe's car, is working fine now, but it was stuck in third gear there for a moment. He's talking back and forth with Kyle Brennan on the team, and they were trying to figure out what exactly was wrong when then the transmission started to work fine again. So as of right now, the 99 is back up in working conditions, but obviously something going on with that tranny that we're going to have to keep an eye on the rest of the day.
Well, what do they make? 22,000 gear shifts here over the 24 hours, so not unexpected for the transmissions to be giving trouble.
Barbosa continues to close up from behind. Let's listen in, see if we can hear anything. Second gear quarter, you reckon?
I think he's in a too high a gear for that by the sound of it.
Yeah. Very slow off the corner. Here comes Barbosa.
Yeah, he didn't upshift or downshift between 2 and 3, which he would normally expect him to do.
So he drops another position. Vassar back to 5th. There's the other slow hairpin.
Yeah, the rev sounds pretty low to me.
Very low, yeah. Position will be Johnny O'Connell in the 91, which during the commercial break went through a radiator change that cost them almost 2 laps. They are back up to full speed.
Yeah,
Jimmy Vassar's last lap was a 1:49. That's 5 seconds slower than the race leader. There's O'Connell in the 91.
Well, got damage on the left rear too.
Johnny O'Connell, a GM factory driver, among the many factory drivers from various manufacturers, told to come out here and drive in the Rolex. They were going to put him in one of the Pontiac GXPRs, but he said if there's a chance to drive a Pontiac in the Daytona prototype class, I'd like to do that. This Riley Matthews team picked him up. He's having a great time, driving a great race. He said it's been a real revelation for him.
That was his teammate, Max Pappas, one of his teammates, Max Pappas, that he just passed in the 72 car, which is way off the pace. They've obviously had trouble of some sort. They're down in 44th overall.
Having spent so much time in the GT cars and cursing at the DP guys for not doing what he wanted them to do, since he assumed that the cars were capable of anything, being so much faster than the GT cars. He says now that he's driving a Daytona prototype, he says, I realize now just what the drivers of those cars have to deal with, and it's a lot different than I thought it would be.
Well, the 75 car, which is a fair way down, got around, or was that the 76 car? Got around the lows. There you see the Gainsco car losing positions.
But that's not for position. The green Chrome car is a couple of laps down. Is that? No, it's just the windshield. I thought that wing was deranged in the car ahead. Ryan Briscoe in the 9. The Penske Taylor Pontiac Riley in 9th place. He's just 6 seconds behind Ricardo Zonta in one of those bright green Chrome Racing Rileys. That's maybe Zonta just ahead of him on the road, the former Formula One test driver for a couple of teams, including Toyota and Renault. Let's learn more about Jimmy Vasser's situation with the 99 with Chris.
Well, Bob, I've been monitoring the radio communication down here, and Jimmy Vasser now having more problems with that transmission. And you guys have been watching him on the racetrack when he's getting caught in a higher gear on the infield, so he's just not able to get out of there. And then occasionally the car is getting stuck in neutral. So all kinds of problems starting to happen to the Gainsco Lowe's machine.
Well, that's the sort of thing that happens in these 24-hour races. It's a long way to go. We've done over nearly 1,800 miles under their belt. So that's just one of those things that's so frustrating.
So while the crew muddles it over, whoops, the 3 has gone off and on. Bill Lester shown 26th place.
Spreading more mud on the track, making it even more slippery.
He and Shane Lewis will be the full season drivers in this car. Bill spent the last few seasons in NASCAR, but he started his career in sports cars. That's him up ahead as you look from Max Angelelli's car. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, that wasn't very good for poor old Max Angelelli.
Or for the onboard camera.
Oh.
And there is the result. Very wet, very sandy, very mobile soil offline. You see where they laid down some of those concrete strips to try to hold the soil in place. This was the radiator change on the 91. Oops, didn't quite go as planned. We'll be back to the Rolex 24 in a moment. For the better part of a century, the sands of Daytona Beach, Florida have been known as the world's center of speed. A hard-packed sandy beach perfect for world land speed record runs by some of the great names of the sport, including Sir Malcolm Campbell. And of course, the birth of NASCAR, stock car racing on a combined pavement and beach oval track. The birthplaces of so many legends. Before Daytona International Speedway was built, and NASCAR became the powerhouse of American motorsport that it is today. But Daytona Beach remains the spiritual home not only of stock cars, but also of American sports car racing and so much more.
A wheel-less 09. Isn't that the second? Didn't they lose a wheel earlier on today?
I think it's the second time Guy Cosmo has lost a wheel in this race. They did it early yesterday.
Oh, there it is. They found it anyway.
There's the Aaron.
That other one was most incredible, the way it ran down the wall and never deviated. Ran for about 3/4 of a mile up against the wall.
The tire obviously longed to join its buddies over there in the tire wall. This has to be so frustrating for a driver.
Well, that radiator's clogged up. See, that's why you always see those guys attack the radiator when they come into a pit stop, because they get full of rubber and mud and grass.
And there's Jimmy Vasser. He's got the 99 in the garage now. This car was up led the race for a bunch of laps, was well up into the top 5 when Varsha got in, started having gearbox problems, as you heard Chris Neville report. And now they've taken it to the garage. A year ago, problems in this race got the 99 team off to a very rough start. They had a lot of ground to make up, managed to do it. The series championship went all the way to the final race of the season before Alex Gurney and Jon Fogarty were able to wrest it away from Scott Pruitt and the Ganassi bunch. Let's go down to the garage.
Well, Bob, obviously big problems down here for the 99 car. They're taking, they've got the rear deck off. They're taking the rear wing assembly off the car to get to that gearbox before they can get in there. I imagine they're going to have to change that rear gear cluster and see what is hanging up in there. I think we said the car seems to be hanging up in 3rd gear, occasionally hanging up in neutral. So looks like it's going to be a long stop. And these guys, I don't think they're going to be able to get back in contention at this point.
Well, as we said at the top of the show, the keys to this race are to stay out of the pits at all costs other than for regular tire and fuel changes. And once you stop, these races are so competitive and the cars by and large are so reliable that you just can't afford to stop at all.
This car led 85 laps to this point in the race. Of the 529 completed, they just don't seem to be able to buy a break here at Daytona. The last couple of years they've had problems. Back in 06, lots of contact meant lots of time in the pits. In 07, a collision with a GT car that was unsighted by the hood up in the driver's face. Nobody's fault, but more mechanical problems and another big hole early in the season for the Gainsco crew.
It's one of those things, that incident you just saw there on the banking, the GT car, as you say, the hood came up. And unfortunately, the 99 car was right behind it.
That gray oblong box that'll come off first is a crash attenuator. It's a crushable structure made to reduce the impact in the event of a rearward backing into the wall, let's say. And that's the gearbox just ahead of it. And once again, the good crews train for just this sort of situation. Every man knows his job, and he goes about it in the proper order so that one man gets his job done, gets out of the way, and the next guy can dive in there and do whatever it is he's supposed to do.
Meanwhile, the mechanic right in front of you here is changing the brake pad, so they're getting that little job out of the way, that chore out of the way while the car is stationary. So that's going to save them a bit of time down the road, because everybody else probably will have to change their pads.
Still a long way to go here at the Rolex 24. But these are beginning to become precious laps. The 9 car from Penske Taylor Racing is in from 8th place, Ryan Briscoe.
And they have never really recovered from yesterday afternoon when the right front tire threw its tread, and they lost about a lap there while they fixed it up, and they've never really recovered from that.
Ryan will be driving an Indy car in the IRL for Penske Racing, replacing Sam Hornish Jr., who's moved on to NASCAR.
And they've also had that overheating problem where they, as Roger Penske was telling us earlier on, they're coming into purge it. There you see the gear cluster.
Old one comes out, a complete new assembly ready to go in. They may still not know what was wrong with the cluster, but they're going to get new parts all in one bunch. Chris Neville.
Well, you can see that new gear cluster going into the car at this point in time. Listening to Jimmy on the radio, he was saying, you know, the car was getting caught in 3rd, then it would jump up into neutral, and then occasionally when it would start shifting again, it would jump from 3rd all the way up to 5th. So just really no idea what is going on with the transmission, but they are going to replace all the internals there and get them back out. Really quick change by this team. You saw what they were doing with the rear brake calipers too, putting new pads in back there. And the team talking on the radio right now, hey guys, let's not get down. This is still a points race. We have a full season ahead of us, so we might not come away with a win here, but let's do the best we can because we got a season ahead.
Leader is in. Don't know if we had a driver change there. Apparently Scott Pruitt is staying in the car. We'll see as he drives away. Ethan James takes over the race lead.
He's already been in 2.5 hours, so he's going for the long run here because he's got at least another 40 minutes to go now.
And then he'll have to get out. He went from lap 495 to lap 530, so 35 laps on that load of fuel. And the 91 car also pitting from 5th in this sequence. So Scott Pruitt on his way back out on track, hoping to bring Chip Ganassi a third straight overall victory here with the Rolex 24, something no team has ever done before. Coming up to the top of the hour, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. David Hobbs and I will be stepping down. Leigh, Diffey, and Dorsey, Schroeder coming back on the mics high above the speedway here. The Rolex 24 at Daytona continues. We'll see you a little bit later in the race. For now, stick around. We'll be back live here on Speed in just a moment.
The gearbox change almost complete here on the 99 Bob Stallings Gainsco Lowe's car. Welcome back, folks. Leigh, Diffey, Dorsey, Schroeder with you here as we count the hours and minutes down towards 1:30 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, the conclusion of the 46th Rolex 24 at Daytona. Well, has victory eluded this team one more time? It was such a strong effort. Chris, tell us more about the 99.
Well, right now you can see they're getting it all buttoned up. They just had Jimmy fire up the motor. He ran through the gears. He went up and down, making sure that the new gear cluster is working. No problems down here, it looks like. So they're just trying to get that rear deck buttoned up. They're going to put some fuel in the car, get Jimmy back out on the track. The team really saying, hey, guys, we got to remember we might not be able to get the win here, but we got to focus on the season ahead. And they know that the 10 car, the 58 car, some of the big competitors that they're going to have all season long have had problems too. So now it's the time where you just have to stay in front of them in the points and at least start off the season better than what they did last year.
And Chris, that is a great point that Jimmy Vasser made, because with a 22nd place finish here 12 months ago, Dors, that's what really put Alex and John behind the 8 ball for the rest of the championship. They were playing catch up and they had to go, and courtesy of those 7 victories, that's what got them the championship, but it wasn't easy.
In a situation like this, I mean, it's hard to keep your spirits up, but as a driver, there's 5 hours left in this race to go. Anything can happen to any of these cars in front of you, and they repaired that car pretty quickly to get a gear cluster in like that as fast as they did. So you got to keep your chin up. It's hard to do sometimes, but you got to talk the team up and keep everybody going in the right direction.
Lost about 7 or 8 laps in that stop, so it was costly. The Riley Matthews Pontiac back on pit road, and
it's got the back off that car too, so they're in there looking at something.
And that team has been tested. Bill Riley's men, they have been working hard, but it's been a good, strong, positive run. Let's talk about something that is close to all of our hearts here at the Rolex 24. Ross Bentley from Speed Secrets is in this Farnbacher Lowe's Porsche, the 85. And Andrew, this is a really heartwarming story. Don Kitch and the gang from Team Seattle Racing. Tell us more.
Yes, indeed, Leigh, indeed. They have been part of this program here at Daytona for over 10 years now. Doc Doolittle is the team manager at Team Seattle's with me. We just see the numbers on there. You've been raising a lot of money for a very important cause.
The best cause you could possibly have. Started this race at $2.8 million. We're over $3 million now for a 12-year effort. Every penny of every pledge that we collect goes straight to the Pediatric Cardiac Intensive Care Unit at Children's Hospital in Seattle. Probably the top 3 hospitals in the United States, sharing technology with all hospitals worldwide. And what better cause than saving kids' lives? This program has been running now, like I say, 12 years. Been flogging these cars out here year after year. TeamSeattle.com is our website. You can link to that. Generous support from Speed and Grand Am has made this possible. We couldn't have done it without the support we've received from both of those entities, as well as Microsoft Live Surge. We've got Kids Country on the car, Dairy Gold, a number of other sponsors. Park Place, been here since the start. Chris Bingham's out flogging the car right now. His dad, David Bingham, and Don Kitch, who's also in the 85 car right now, both founders of the foundation and our Team Seattle Guild in Seattle. Just a miracle house, you know, saving lives, and these people are operating on babies before they're even born in some cases. So, like I say, it's just been an incredible effort, and it's our 12th year. We're hoping to go to Le Mans next year, and then continue supporting the hospital in some form for years to come. So,
Doc, thanks very much. Back to the booth.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad that it is their last year here at the Rolex 24 at Daytona, but as Doc Doolittle alluded to there, their racing plans aren't finished. $431,000 odd here raised for this weekend. Microsoft have been involved. They're part of that live tally of the money going up on the big plasma screen there. And 12 years they've raised in excess of $3 million. The sights are going higher. They're off to hopefully in 2009 compete at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The ACO is interested in helping their causes. The Mazda has a little anxious moment, so well done to everyone involved in Team Seattle, and thank you for everybody who has pledged money to that very worthy cause.
Lonnie Petchnick, he's trying to be a good guy, a nice guy, and move over and stay out of the way. But right now with the racetrack in this condition, you move over, you move yourself into the slimy, wet stuff. Lonnie, a good driver, caught that car and kept it going around. Or not going around, I should say.
Chris?
Well, as the sun comes up, everybody starts to get a bit more racy, and Gunnar Jeanette was running 4th in GT in the 75 Stevenson Pontiac when he got just pinched by 2 DPs, one on both sides of the car, and all 3 cars came together. Gunnar got the worst of it, broke the control arms, both front and rear on all 4 corners. So a long stop here. He was in 4th. He's dropped back to, I think, about 7th or 8th right now. The team has already done the fix on the front. They're just trying to fix these suspension control arms on the rear and get them back out. But as Mike Johnson said to me, you know what? We've just tried to stay out of trouble all night long. We did it. We might not have the fastest car out there, but we were just chugging along with no problems. And what do? We find contact with some cars, and now we're sitting on pit lane.
That's hard to do, knock all 4 corners off at once. I've never even done that.
Well, this has been a remarkable performance from the Stevenson Motorsports crew. These are the 2 new Pontiacs, so from the Stevenson GXPR to the Auto House car of the same make. And both these cars were literally built alongside each other at the same time, and they're both still running very strongly at this late stage in the race with just under 5.5 hours remaining.
But look at how the big frontal area of the Pontiac doesn't allow it to run the top number. Look at the Porsche in front squirting away. And this is all aerodynamics. I mean, it's not horsepower. These cars have plenty of horsepower, but they're pushing the biggest frontal area of any car out there, and it really hurts them.
And Dors, Pontiac and the teams, they openly acknowledge that this GXPR is not the most aerodynamically slippery car here at the Speedway, but as we saw last year in its debut season, it works very effectively at other circuits.
Well, it's got the longest wheelbase, and that gives it a lot of stability.
Oh, that's the race leader. Ian James is off. How bad is the damage?
It doesn't look bad, but he's going to have a radiator full of mud and grass.
There goes Joey Hand through to take the lead of this motor race. Can Ian James regroup, get the 6 going? He's got a lot of grass and mud in the front air intake of that car.
I don't think he hurt the car physically, but he's going to have to make a pit stop that it's not needed. You see the team's ready with a new nose.
Chris?
Well, Leigh, he's reporting back to the team that he busted the nose. He said, I'm sorry, guys, I busted the nose. I'm coming to pit lane. So they're planning on a tire change here, get a new nose on the car, and Bert Frizzell is going to get behind the wheel.
And not only did that grab the attention of Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing, but what about Brumos? The famous 59 is now elevated to 2nd place when Ian James comes in. Joao Barbosa is behind the wheel. And it will also elevate Dario Franchitti to 3rd. Here comes James, 2nd car on shot, car number 6. Through the bus stop. He's less than half a lap from pit entry.
And that nose looks very secure. It looks like it's pinned down well. It's not vibrating. So I think it's okay. Ian's going to get it back to the pits with no problem. You see it's broken in the left corner there.
And credit to Ian, he remained composed in a very intense situation, trying to gather your thoughts, trying to gather it all up, get it going, get it back on the track, don't stall the engine. He did a nice job. Chris?
Well, he got the car going again. Once he got it back out on track, he said, everything feels good, guys. I don't think this thing's going to come apart. So they said, stay out at this point in time. Let's finish the stint. We'll put Bert in later. They just don't want to go down a lap at this point in time. We're under 6 hours. You can't lose that lap now, as hard as it is with these new caution rules, to get back on the lead lap.
Chris, take a close look at it.
I think that's a smart thing they're doing, Chris. I think that's the right call. I'm looking at that nose. I mean, he's got some mud in the radiator, but not enough to make it overheat. There's the lead car, Ruby Tuesday 23, and then we'll look back how much ground he lost here. The car does not look like it's vibrating, the nose, and if it's not vibrating, it's probably going to stay on. He looks, there he is right here, the 6 car, 17 seconds back. And I'm looking at the front of the car on the left side, driver's left side. Big hole in the fender, but it looks good, Chris.
You know, Dorsey, talking to Bill Riley about this new bodywork, the nose is something they really focused on. They saw that first-generation nose as something that really digs into the dirt when you go off the racetrack, kind of like a shovel. And we've seen it just about any time the Rileys would go off, a massive amount of dirt or sand coming up and over the car, and typically the nose coming loose. So in this new design, it's not as much of a shovel. So when the cars go off, he said, I think the car is going to be much more crash-worthy at the nose. Maybe we're seeing that with Ian James right now. And also, he really tried to protect the side pods. He saw how much door-to-door contact it is in this class, and he just said, we really wanted to build a car that was more crash-worthy than our Generation 1 car.
Did he put those little steel wheel roller skates in the front? That would do it.
The Mike Shank crew are at the ready. What a moment for Ruby Tuesday Championship racing. Joey Hand, in his biggest drive at top-level motorsport, leads the Rolex 24 at Daytona ahead of Barbosa, Ian James, Frank Kitty and Wilson. It's one of the most popular shows on Speed, and on February 20th, Pinks returns for an all-new season with all new rules. More racing, more drama, and of course, more to lose. Don't miss the season premiere of Pinks, February 20th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific, here on Speed. Let's take you back some years, some 35 years, when the Brumos Porsche, they changed their familiar tangerine colour scheme to the now famous white, red and blue on the 59, and it was the victorious day for the late Peter Gregg and Hurley Haywood, a 5-time winner of this wonderful event. And here we go, from then to now. And could this be a fitting moment when Hurley Haywood hands his permanent drive over to this guy, the Portuguese driver João Barbosa? Could it be 35 years is the magic number for the 59? Well, not that long ago, Dorsey, the 59 was involved in an incident on track, and Andrew Marriott has more on that.
Yes, Johnny Mowlem is the man that assaulted the great Hurley Haywood. Just out of a triple stint, Johnny, and some very quick laps. But first, tell us about the incident.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very difficult, to be fair, for the Daytona prototypes when they first come out on cold tyres. I was already out on the track, he came out in front of me, and obviously I let him out in front of me because he's in a DP, and he just got into the middle of the corner and just stayed off the throttle and stayed off the throttle, and if I'd braked at that point, I'd have spun, so I just gave him a little nudge up the back, which obviously I didn't do deliberately. I'm sorry for that. I don't think it did any damage to him. It certainly didn't do any damage to me, and once he got his tyres up to temp, I actually overtook him the next corner, but then he got his tyres up to temp and managed to get going.
Now, at Orbit, you came into this race as one of the favourites to win GT. You'd won GT in the past, you qualified 4th fast, and then you've had all kinds of problems. Just tell us why you lost 55 laps.
Oh, yeah, we were running in the top 5 the whole time, but then we shredded 5th gear, and that lost us an hour and 45 minutes, changing the whole gearbox. So now really we're just out there, you know, making up laps and just going round and round. I had a nice dice with Timo and Lance David, and I think I overtook everyone apart from the first 2 in GT. So I mean, I'm only getting 1 lap back, and we need to get about 50 laps back. So I'm just having a bit of fun out there, and I must admit I'm a bit annoyed that every time I come to sunny Florida it rains. I rang home, it's sunny at home and it's raining here, so I can't quite work that one out.
Johnny Mowlem, I don't think he's on Hurley Haywood's Christmas card list anymore.
Dramas for the 29 Allegra Motorsports Porsche. It just blew a tyre coming down the front straight, and terrific control not to lose that car.
There it is right here. I watched that live right in front of us, Leigh. It blew the left front tire, and you see right now it's shredding the bodywork. A lot of carbon bits flying around out there. The driver, whoever's in that, did a really, really good job of not losing control when that thing exploded.
In GT, it's still Rafa Matos who leads the way for Speed Source, and he has a lap advantage on Romain Dumas for TRG, and then the 66 of Andy Lally. That's the top 3 in class. Johannes van Overbeek is in 4th, so 3 TRG cars, Porsches in the top 4, and then Mark Greenberg for Synergy Motorsport in the 80 is up into the top 5.
There's your overall leader, Joey Hand, right now in the 23 Ruby Tuesday Crawford. Just 4 seconds ahead of Joao Barbosa. Varsha. Up to 75. It's gone around in turn 1.
Tracy Crone just outside turn 1. There goes our race leader, Joey Hand.
And hats off to the Daytona boys for paving that area this year, because we would have had so many crashes in turn 1 had they not put that new asphalt down there to stop these cars when they get away.
Well, first and foremost, it's in the best interest of safety for the drivers and fellow competitors, but also just keeps the race going, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you went out there before and got in the grass, you were going to hit that guardrail, and we saw it so many times over the year. Then you've got a big crash. You're stopping the race all the time to fix that. Not that we haven't had enough cautions.
Barbosa in the 59 is still second. Ian James, after that interesting moment earlier for him, maintains his third. Juan Pablo Montoya is now in the 01. He is in fourth. Justin Wilson is fifth. And Varsha is back out on track in sixth. I'm not sure whether he has served the stop-go penalty as yet, but we got word from race control that when the 99 was back in the garage area, it refueled without permission and was due to perform a stop-go penalty. And we have yet another full course caution. And Dorsey, I would imagine that's for debris.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing. They were being very cautious with this debris, with cutting down tires and so forth, and I think that's a smart deal too. We saw the 29 car explode that tire on the front straight. Well, there it is right there. I'm looking out from the window up here, and debris is getting knocked away. There's debris getting run over all over out there. We'll take a better look at when this tire exploded. You'll see it start shredding the bodywork. And big pieces will start flying here in a minute, and they're still out there. There you go. There's a bunch of it. And that carbon fiber is just like razor blades with the.
Well, not only the carbon fiber, but what about the rubber? What's it like when you're in a car following and a bit flicks up and gets into your windshield?
Well, that's a valid point. Plus, you look at a Daytona prototype, and its ground clearance at that speed is 0.
Sure.
You know, because you're running 190 miles an hour, so those pieces aren't going to go underneath there.
Andrew?
Yeah, down at the 91, a car which was running right in the top 5 for a long time. They have just changed the gearbox here, and they've done that on pit lane rather than take the car behind the garage. So there's a fresh gearbox in this car. It's obviously costing them a lot of laps, though.
I can't imagine why it is that the Grand Am officials allowed them to change a gearbox on pit lane. I mean, normally, look at all the oil and stuff they're dealing with out there. Normally, the procedure would be put it in the garage to do a big repair like that and keep the pit lane free in case something might happen.
And once again, you might say, why keep going at this late stage when you've had such a drama? Well, it's all about championship points. This is round 1 of a 14-round season as we climb aboard with Max Angelelli grabbing a drink, taking a breath, and regrouping. Boy, it's been an eventful period of time for the number 10 SunTrust team. Young Ricky Taylor did a great job, 18 years of old on debut, along with his father, Wayne Taylor, Max Angelelli, and his new co-driver, Michael Valiente. The car we are inside currently sits in 9th position overall.
Well, this is our 19th caution, 73 laps underneath the yellow, 4 hours, 36 minutes run behind the pace car. So I don't know if that's a record yet, but it's getting there. I think it's going to be.
We climb aboard the Penske Taylor Racing car. Ryan Briscoe, what an exciting year ahead for him. And this is the 17 with Mark Jensen. You may remember the famous 17, or familiar 17, I should say, which is the Doncaster car. Well, no longer. Now it belongs to these guys, to Mark and Gary Jensen and the Terra Firma Motorsports car. They bought the whole, well, I can't say the shop, but they just bought everything from John Lacey and Doncaster Racing and said, it's time for us to get a good operation and let's go for it. And that's what they've done.
Taking a look there at the tall Justin Wilson. This car has been through a war so far as well. It's hanging tough in 5th place.
Lanky Englishman has really enjoyed his racing in the United States in the Champ Car World Series. Has another year coming up.
This will be the 70, I would think. No, wrong. This is the 40.
Joe Foster.
Now, this car had a lot of problems going on yesterday. We saw tire issues and Patrick Dempsey getting it into the turn 1 exit pit out wall.
And here is Max Pappas. We go inside the Auto House GXPR Pontiac.
Talk to Max. He really likes this car. He says, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that we're a little bit slow in the straightaway, he goes, this is as good a handling car as I've ever driven in my life. He said, it is an awesome car.
Major move for Max and his family. They've now relocated from Miami here in Florida up to Mooresville, North Carolina. He does a lot of testing work for Hendrick And he said, it's just, I need to be there. Charlotte is the place to be. To Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, I'm with Ryan Hunter-Reay in the back here of the Riley Matthews Motorsport pit. Ryan, big disappointment with this gearbox now.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was a suspension failure or something, but we had an off. Johnny had an off there, and it just killed the back of the car. So they had to remount the whole rear end again, and that included a gearbox. And now we're trying to calibrate the gearbox and set it in there. It's a big disappointment. We're leading, you know, at 4 in the morning there, and we had a great car to be there at the end. So it's just one of those deals. Daytona can do that to you, I guess.
Thanks very much, Ryan. Back to you, Chris.
Well, our leaders are in. Joey Hand bringing the Ruby Tuesday car to pit lane. This has got to be a good stop by this team. They've got to make sure. Looks like we got problems up here on this right front corner. We can't get the center nut off this wheel, so already problems with the 23 car. It had to be a perfect stop because they wanted to keep the lead. Joey was going to stay in the car, but Juan Pablo Montoya has already gotten in the 01, so it wasn't going to be a driver change down there. So we've got problems up on this right front. They cannot change that tire at this point in time. They're going to leave it on the car, so he's going to get 3 fresh tires. He's going to have to go out with this used right front tire, and Montoya is down and away. He's going to get beat out by Montoya. It looked like the 59 possibly beat him out.
Barbosa is going to take the lead in the Brumos Porsche.
And the 6 car beat him out after that driver change with Bert Frizzell. So the 23 car, it looks like they went from 1st to 4th on that stop, all because of that right front not being able to be changed.
Great call, Chris. Spot on. 1st to 4th. Terrific work by Mike Shank Racing. Chip Ganassi with Felix Sabates. And also Brumos Racing. Joao Barbosa goes to the top of the order. If you think you're going to get through a 24-hour endurance race without incident, think again. A couple of hours ago, Patrick Long and Oswaldo Negri come together in the International Horseshoe. Fairly innocent, but it was enough to put Oz off the track, and he was high-centered there for a moment. Another look at it from a different angle. Slow going, but enough to turn the Mike Shank 60 around. That was our pole-sitting car. And sadly, the kids, the 4 young runners. Andrew Ranger was behind the wheel at this stage, and there was just far too much damage sustained to the exchange-traded gold AIM Autosport Ford. They retired. A hairy ride for the Banner Racing Pontiac. Not sure what caused this, but great work to get it back to pit road for some help. Michael Valiente and Scott Pruitt come together. The SunTrust and Ganassi cars, regular season rivals, and you'll see Valiente in that car all year long. Tried to make a move on Pruitt, it didn't work, and Salvador Duran in the same spot where he did all the damage earlier yesterday, spins without incident, narrowly avoided contact with the Spirit of Daytona prototype. And then check this out, Gunnar Jeanette in the middle in the 57, the race leading car of the 6, the Brumos 59 in there. Yeah, that was a mess. In fact, it was the 58 Brumos car, so no major damage, but enough to head to pit lane to check it out and get going. The race summary, check that out. 15 different leaders and 19 cautions. Just incredible. It's been a very stop-start affair. Sunday nights wouldn't be the same without the Speed Report, where you can go beyond the highlights, beyond the stats, and get everything you need. Get connected to the world of motorsports like never before. The Speed Report tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and you can see the wash-up from this race and everything else in the world of motorsport. We continue under our 19th, yes, 19th full course caution, and it is Joao Barbosa, one of the 4-man driving team in the 59 Brumos Porsche, the Riley chassis car that is out in front of season regular Memo Rojas, Bert Frizzell for Mike Shank Racing, Joey Hand for Ruby Tuesday Championship Racing, and Justin Wilson in the 2nd Shank car. That's been the shuffle after the most recent round of stops. There was a costly one for Alex Job Racing, and Chris Neville will update us more on that in just a moment. Sylvain Tremblay, the team principal, has just taken over from Brazilian Rafa Matos, who did an outstanding job. Andy Lally, can he get yet another wristwatch? Romain Dumas for TRG. Johannes van Overbeek for TRG. and then Mark Greenberg in the 80 for Synergy. The GT fight has been just amazing, as we have now gone under the 5-hour mark remaining. You feel good at this? Well, good's not the right adjective, but do you feel kind of reinvigorated at this time of the day, Dors?
Yeah, I mean, you're glad to get here, but you take a look at this. This is the 02 car in the guardrail, and I want to just say real quickly, of course, that this again was a crash that happened while under caution, and I think that we're going to have to look at this new caution procedure quite hard now, because what this new caution procedure does is it makes you race back. Once you come back on the racetrack, you have to race back and catch the pack. So you're going 10/10 on a caution lap, and we're seeing a lot of guys crash on a caution lap.
This young man, Alex Lloyd from the United Kingdom, is a superstar of the future. While he might be up against the guardrail right now, he is one to watch. He was last year's IPS champion. He had 8 wins last year, clinched the championship with 2 rounds remaining, and late last year in October he signed with Chip Ganassi Racing. He's a former BRDC Autosport Young Driver of the Year, and as a result of that got to test a McLaren Formula 1 car, and Chip Ganassi has seen something in this young man and look for his name in the future. It hasn't been a great day for the car and the team that he has been a part of. This was last night, Dorsey, with Salvador Duran.
Just gets off the outside of the racetrack, and he's talked about that digging into the front end. Well, Duran takes the whole nose off. He takes it back behind the wall. They have to put the whole front end back together, and you see him working on it here. And the Ganassi guys did a great job at it. His teammates weren't particularly happy about this.
Yeah, that was Alex Lloyd, Scott Dixon and Dan Weldon watching on. But when you see a team the caliber of Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates go to work on a united front, it is quite incredible. This, I believe, was Salvador Duran.
That's correct.
Second time.
Very lucky
similar
here.
Section of the track.
Unbelievable that he didn't crash into anything that time.
And then this is Alex Lloyd, so it has been quite a testing and trying day for the 02. Once victorious car here at the Rolex 24. Chris Neville, what have you got?
Well, they just checked back in with the Ruby Tuesday team, and they can look at a couple different strategies at this point in time. That tire that is on the car was only on there for 1 stint, so it can go to maybe a third stint, but it can't make the rest of the race. So at some point in time, they are going to have to address that center nut. Now, you can look at it 2 different ways. We got a long caution right now. If they came in and now and dealt with it, maybe they'd have a few more hours to try and make up the distance that they're going to lose in pit lane. But they are going to let the car go at least another stint, hopefully get a caution a little bit later, and then deal with it at that point in time, having a little bit more time to prepare and be ready for what they're going to have to do. Now, this is that center lug, or a center lug, that is just like the one on the car. Now, what the team does throughout the race is tries to make sure they continually put graphite on these so they don't get stuck like that. But with the changing conditions, the rain, the dry, the rain, the dry, that lug just gets stuck. And we've seen it with a lot of teams in many different races over the years, and teams just can't deal with this situation. It occasionally bites them. Now, this little lug does cost a couple $100, but to run here costs a couple $100,000.
Chris, were you there at the Ruby Tuesday pit when that stop was executed?
Yes, I was.
Did they keep their composure? Did they get carried away, or did they try and stay calm in a tense situation?
No, they definitely did stay calm. They dealt with the car. They did want to try and blow out the front radiator, and they weren't able to get to that because of this situation, but they definitely kept their composure.
Back to green flag racing. Bob Barbosa in the Brumos Porsche leads the field into turn 1.
He's got Memo Rojas right behind, Bert Frizzell, Joey Hand. The top 4 are right there, line astern, ready to roll. There's a Chrome Racing car in there. Is it the 76 of Darren Turner in the mix?
We saw last night one of those wheel nuts get sawed off with a grinding wheel. They actually cracked the nut, if you will, and took it back off. That's what's going to happen on the 23 sooner or later.
Just to pay off Chrome Racing, both cars are still active, both still running, and both in the top 11 positions. The top 12 on the track, occupied by Daytona prototypes. The best GT car is 13th overall, and that's Sylvain Tremblay. Barbosa, Rojas, and Frizzell.
How long has it been since we've seen this 59 leading the field, legitimately leading the field?
This is great. Well, there will be some high emotions if they can go all the way today. Not only to score victory in the Rolex 24, and it would be a first in the Daytona prototype era for Brumos Racing, but with Bob Snodgrass looking down from above, willing this car on.
This is their home track out of Jacksonville, Florida. Boy, it would mean a lot to this team to be able to win this race again. And for Hurley.
Porsche power plant, Riley chassis. They switched from the Fab car. They were very faithful to the Fab car chassis. Dave Klim and his team. But then when they switched to the Riley chassis, they found, oh, Bartos is gone in the most spectacular fashion. Sideways, off the banking, and slams into the wall.
That's it. It's over for that one. I think this is a tire issue. I'm not sure yet, but something on that car let loose. That wasn't a mistake by Joao at all.
Sideways through NASCAR 4. And now the battle's on for the front as well. Rojas defending from Bert Frizzell.
We're going to have a full course caution. There's no doubt about that. Hasn't right waved yet. I don't know why, because that was a big impact. But again, something on the car. Definitely not driver error.
That thing just broke sideways, Dorsey.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Up on the banking, you're making a lot of downforce. You got two types of downforce from the wing and the aerodynamics, but you got downforce from the banking as well. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely something breaking on the car.
And as you can understand, the Brumos team, that side in particular on the 59,
watch this now.
Devastated.
Right, good part of the racetrack, no problem. I think a right rear is what we're going to see. Something on the right side of the car. There, it just breaks free. Well, I don't know. All this is after the spin. Now we'll get a better look at it here.
Chris, we'll get to you for an update in just a moment. We're going to have a different view from Memo Rojas.
Wow. Well, it's too easy to say. I don't know. I mean, I really think something in the right rear of the car is what the problem was.
Chris, can you add?
Right now, the team talking back and forth on the radio with Joao. He says he's okay. It was a big hit, guys, so he's a bit shaken up. He doesn't know really what happened with the car. He said all of a sudden the car was just gone, so the team was really looking at our images there, trying to figure out if possibly a wheel came off. That's what they're thinking at this point in time, but the good thing is Joao is okay. It was a big hit. The team has got everybody going back to the garage to prepare for the 59 to get back there, because once again, this is a big season ahead of us, and they want to try and fix that car, get it back out there so they can compete for this season championship.
Well, the right rear wheel, Chris, is definitely still on the car. We just had a good look at that. I didn't have a good look at the tire to see if we had a deflation. And no, it looks like the right rear tire has its air still in it. Wheel's still on. So I don't think it's definitely not a tire coming apart issue, that's for sure. Take another look at it. This car just turns right here.
Position on the banking was fine.
Yeah, I mean, everything was fine. And you know, that's not a place that a car just gets out from under you. Not one of these cars, anyway.
Barbosa is used to high-speed prototypes. He races an open-top prototype in the Le Mans Series in Europe. In fact, he finished in the top 10 in the championship this year. He's a highly accomplished driver, and that was a very weird situation and a sad end for the 59 campaign to win this race.